right, Mr. SimpleBiz guy, let's start the show.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the SimpleBiz360 podcast. My name is Jeff Mason, and I'm your host for episode 259. We've got one more to go after this, and we just want to take this time to say thank you to all of you who have stayed with the show, who have those of you who have popped in and out, listened to us on occasion, for all the different downloads on all the different platforms. I think we haven't knocked it out of the park over 5 years, but we've amassed around 85,000 downloads. I think somewhere 85 to 90,000. If you count all the different platforms. So we're very, very appreciative of all that. And, you know, everything we've tried to do has been grounded in, and our intentions are to just pass information to you, pay it forward, leave it on your doorstep, and you do what you want with it. We're not saying we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. We're not saying we have all the answers. In fact, we don't say we have many answers. We just say we're taking information we've learned from third-party people and then combining it with situational observation, being in the workforce for 35 years, having a keen eye open to observation along the way, knowing we were going to write a book 30 years later. So, you know, it's been able to help me amass the material and the perspectives that I've been able to bottle up. So we started with the book, and you can get on our podcast or our website, SimpleBiz360.com. It's on Amazon in Kindle audiobook format and paperback. You can order right through our website. It'll take you right to the Amazon site. It's got 255 timeless tools in it, and it's our contribution to saying, hey, we've been looking at this thing for 30 years, and we've been looking at what we really want to call the experience side of the fence. So we started by looking at bad experiences, and we've tried to learn along the way what makes up good customer experiences. So today's kind of a funny episode. You know, I'm trying to pass on some stuff as I finished the last couple of shows. And today, you know, I've really bumped into this in the last few years, and it really just hit me in the last few years. And what I've noticed over the decades, and I haven't been able to put a finger on it, but now I was able to put a finger on it, is that we are such a busy business community, right? We are so occupied with all kinds of life and work intersections. We've got so much going on. The kids got to be everywhere. You've got meetings. You've got deadlines. You've got all these different social media platforms. And all this juggling of all that stuff, it ends up interfering with what eventually comes out of our mouth. And this is what I mean. I have come to realize that, myself included, we tend to think we've said something and we've only thought about it. We've never said it. Yet we live in this world where we actually think and we tell ourselves, yeah, I told the person that. I said that. And what I mean by that, and it's really profound, but you know what I mean by that is, and I've really watched this in the last couple of years, and it's amazing. We think about saying something, but we don't actually say it, right? We think about sending an email, but we don't actually send the email. We think about passing on a customer compliment, but it's in our head. It never comes out of our mouths. And we think we told the person the compliment. In fact, we're convinced of it in many cases. We think about updating the customer, but we don't actually update the customer, right? So, I mean, I've watched this, and it's like, and when you think about just simple things like greetings, right? I've watched greetings, and I love watching this because it's it's really become more or less a sore spot in especially the American lexicon. We are not saying hello, Jeff, hello, Matt, hello, Aiden, like we used to. We're saying, hey. We're the world of hey. 50% of the hellos are hey. And you know what? 25% of those intended heys never come out. And so you've got this interaction happening and no one's ever said hello to each other. And it's crazy. I've said to myself, you know what? I've said hello to this person in the office every day for 6 years now. I'm not going to say anything just to see if that person ever says hello to me. And they don't. And a year later, I feel bad. I'm like, okay, I watched that for a year. So now I'm going to start again. They'd never come to me and said, hey, how come for a year you didn't say hello to me, but now all of a sudden you're starting? Well, I was actually doing an experiment to see if you would say hello, but you didn't. So, but it's crazy. I mean, when you start doing these things, you realize people, we do fail at greetings. Now, in some of those cases, what I have come to realize is the people who are thinking the greeting actually think that they said it. And so now think of the overflow. Think of the spillover to our spouses, to our partners, to our kids, to our neighbors, to our customers, right? So why is this? Because we're just so consumed with the busyness of life and business that we just miss it. So think about it, guys. Think about it. Make sure that if you're thinking hello, you say hello. If you're thinking thank you, you say thank you. If you're thinking how are you as a question, open-ended question to start conversation, ask it. Don't think you asked it. The store looks great. If it looks great and you're thinking it, tell them. Open up your mouth and say it. The service was awesome. Tell the waiter or waitress that the service was awesome. Let them know. Don't just you think about it in your own mind. And certainly say, hello, Jim, hello, Nancy, instead of treating them like a big, pile of hay, right? They're not hay. So now take this and then inject it into this experience economy, what we've been talking about for 5 years. Now, what we've recently talked about is these little micro journeys that exist within a transaction. Again, I go back to the restaurant, the sit-down restaurant. We identified 39 micro journeys. Why do I keep bringing a restaurant up? Because it's a common denominator for most of us, if not all of us. Most of us listening to this, if not all, have been to restaurants many times. I can say I speak from authority because in my lifetime as a 66-year-old man, I've sat down because of business travels well over 2,000 times. So I've been able to watch this process take place. So, think about the fact that each one of these little steps, we're getting measured in the form of like a mini review from the customer with that micro journey. So when we miss something we're thinking in our head and we don't articulate it, we're in some cases creating a bad experience, a bad perception, a bad feeling in the customer because they're like, wow, Jeff never said hello. In my mind, I thought about it, but it never came out. No, it doesn't. I'm telling you, I've watched family members say hey to me for years and never ask me, how are you doing? I watched one take place for about 3.5, almost 4 years. And finally, I heard, how are you doing? I've been listening. Trust me, I've been listening. It doesn't come out. Now, I'm sure that person, if you ask them, are you kidding me? I thought that every time I saw him. I always thought, how are you doing? Well, it never came out. Are you sure about that? I know I said it. No, you didn't. So again, this is a little zone that we've got ourselves caught in, and it happens all over. So we need to be intentional about saying the simple things instead of just thinking those simple things, right? It's executing on these simple things, right? What's the podcast called? What's the book called? SimpleBiz360. We make things harder than they need to be. I believed that when I named my book. I believed that when I named my company. I believed that when I put this podcast together. We overcomplicate things, and the true golden threads lie in the simple. It's the simplistic where you find the gold. And if we're thinking these simple things, hello, hi, how are you doing? Boy, the store looks great. And we're not saying them. We're missing on the simplicity of the business process. And whether we know it or not, we're scoring lower points in the mind's eye of the customer. That's how the rhythm of this experience economy works, right? So again, emotions get kind of this whole thing evolves into customer emotions and feelings and thoughts and then experiences. And oh my gosh, I had all these expectations in my mind. At least I thought the person would be saying hello to me every time we got together, and they're not even saying hello. I mean, oh my gosh, I just don't like the way they handle me. And they did a nice job. I mean, I liked the final product, but I didn't enjoy working with these guys. They weren't polite. So again, it's just something that I've really noticed very, very, very evidently in the last couple of years, but it was leading up to it, and I finally was able to put my finger on it. So I just say, guys, anybody listening out there, anybody viewing out there, what about your spouses? What about your kids? What about your grandkids? What about your neighbors? What about your coworkers, teammates, associates, and customers? Think about them. Think about how you have stuff in your head, and it's good stuff you want to say. Don't just say it in your head. Say it out of your mouth and to the customer. So we're going to end today, and we're going to come back next week with our last final show. But today we're going to end with a Lost in the Shuffle tune, which we do every week since about week 7. We're going to end today with Dave Mason wrote this tune. It's with the band Traffic in 1968. We've done the Joe Cocker version of it. We did it, certainly a live version that Joe Cocker did of this. But this is Traffic doing it, my second favorite band. Here they are doing Feeling All Right, 1968, written by Dave Mason, no relative of mine, trust me, but certainly love his music and actually lost 5 teeth leaving one of his concerts in a car accident one night. That's another podcast. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We will see you in 168 hours.